Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts, coming to you from Sedalia, Missouri today. I'm your host, Rick J. Nice to have you with us. And welcome to all. Today we visit, as I explained earlier, with Linda Hoover, artist and more. Linda Hoover from Sedalia, Missouri. I want to say welcome, and it's great to have you back with us, Linda.
Great to be back. Just lovely. We've had fun before. It's good to be back.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, she was with us, believe it or not, for what we call Mid-Missouri Art News, number 9. This is Spotlight on the Arts number 49. So that's like 3 years ago, in the very first years of 2016 of Spotlight on the Arts and Mid-Missouri Art News, which Spotlight on the Arts is an offshoot of Mid-Missouri Art News. So it's great to have you back. Well, for those new viewers, Linda, the first show, number 9, you give us a little history, but for the new viewers, bring us up to date, or a little bit of background on Linda Hoover, if you would, lover and promoter of art.
Well, I've always been an artist. I think that's my gift. I think my mother was an artist, and she encouraged and got me lessons, and I was always and I loved it. I would learn things in the lessons and get so excited. And I was always the class artist, so I think it's just my gift and it's in my blood.
There you go. That's, I always talk about the DNA.
Yeah.
I seem to be born with it. I tell the story about writing on the bedroom wall, and the people who moved in the house off the farm when we left. They kept it on there until I got home from Vietnam at 23 years old, and 6 years old I'm writing, or 3 or 4 years old I'm writing, drawing pictures on the wall. So we talk about different shows. Many associates that you're familiar with that's been on the show, we talk about, seems like it's almost in the DNA, going clear back to that artist in the caveman era who while there's out hunting, the group, he was drawing on the walls to record the history. So again, I think it's in our blood.
I do too.
I just really believe that. And I was a classroom artist also. When they looked at Mr. Freed, Doug Freed, talks about his background and being the class artist. So I'm glad to see that you are amongst the bleed, should we say not the breed, but the blood. Well, you are involved, not to give a lot away because we're going to cover a lot more in the second half, but you're very active in the art community and other communities surrounding Sedalia, Missouri. Can you give us a little overview of your activity involving all these different, not specifics, but how far out do you reach in your art community connections?
Well, as you know, I'm the president of Sedalia Visual Arts. I taught here in Hughesville, which is about 10 miles north.
I see.
Until I retired, until I got old enough to retire. And I kept thinking when I retired, I would give back a little to the art community. So I spent 3 years as vice president for the Warrensburg group.
That's Mid-Missouri Arts?
Mid-Missouri Artists and program chairman. And during that time, I started organizing a show at City Hall and was doing that for Sedalia Visual Artists. And then Madge Gressley had been our president forever and wanted to pass that on. So I thought I would do my part and step up and volunteer for that. So I've been doing here in Sedalia. I've been president for 5 years.
Oh my,
yes.
And
do you want to hear about some of Sedalia Visual Arts this year?
We do, but again, the second half, we're going to really get into that. I just want to introduce you to the world. Artists. I heard it from a gentleman from Russia today. He paints like Picasso on Instagram. So we are connecting worldwide on the show.
Wow.
And so we're not only talking about locally, but worldwide. Another approach yesterday on the show from a gentleman from Bonner Springs, Kansas. Wow. And so they're coming in wanting to be on the show. So I'm asking you to identify these communities that you're associated with. I know there's numerous communities, but your specific involvement and what have you is what I just want to paint the picture that sometimes we're in one organization or club. It means that we might be stretched out a little farther as an artist because we seem to link up with these different contacts, what have you. Well, I did want to ask you though, any special events that you'd like to pass on at this time that you're involved in. And we'll talk about those special events for SVAA later. But what's your plans for 2021, 2020, 2022, as far as that goes?
Wow. It seems like I've got so many commissions going on right now that COVID has been rough on a lot of people, but as an artist, I'm just doing what I always did, only more of it, really. That I'm in my studio or I'm outside on a scaffolding somewhere doing murals. And I have ideas for murals. I've got to present to the park board here.
And we're going to talk about that and show some pictures of your favorites. I think you give us about 13 to work with. And we're going to see in those pictures that you've taken your art to a higher level, if you get my drift.
Yes.
So, well, that's great. So special events, I know I found more time to paint, in a way thanks to COVID-19.
Yeah.
And taking time out and getting a lot of other things done in life. So that's great. So what's your time to gear up, shall we say, for the Sedalia Visual Arts Association? We'll talk a little bit about that gearing up status and COVID. Right now we're all kind of in lull, should we say, with the COVID-19. Can you give us what your plan for startup for the Sedalia Visual Arts Association as president?
We're at this stage. Every year at this time we pick a theme, and the idea is to stretch ourselves, to do something outside of our comfort zone, to pick something that we wouldn't always be doing.
Yes.
And we're taking suggestions. We've got one suggestion for a theme: fine dining. I think that would be really fun. We could do pictures of food, table settings.
Paintings of that.
Yes, or not just that. We have one man that works with old jewelry, silverware.
Oh, I see.
And he's like a blacksmith. He makes new things out of it.
He's been on Spotlight.
Yes, and I'm thinking of him.
Mr.
Josh Rhodes.
Josh Rhodes.
Yes. And I thought about him, and that he could. There's a lot of things he could do with his silverware, but
sure.
This could apply to a lot of things.
Right.
Clothing, fine dining. Think about it could be groups, but this could work for ceramicists. We're a very diverse group.
Yes.
And it could involve teapots. I think it's a good one, but we shall see if that one's the one we choose or not.
So you're kind of giving instructions now. What you're thinking would be not appropriate, but would be some great ideas for this upcoming show that you'd like to kick off. Now, when's that going to kick off?
Well, we have for years been doing a show every summer at the Dom Museum of Contemporary Art here in Sedalia. Wonderful museum.
I see.
And Tom Pichet is the director over there.
Yes.
It's just a world-class museum right here in Sedalia. We're very strong in the arts.
Doug Freed has covered that so well twice on the program.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm sure he did. He designed it and started it. And
so that is a contemporary arts gallery that you have to visit. That's on the campus of the university.
Of the Sedalia State Fair College.
State Fair College. Okay.
Yes, in Sedalia, Missouri.
In Sedalia is a growing community. So when you're going through Sedalia, stop and think about it, and make a stop. Plan for a stop here at the Lamey's building. We're shooting today.
Yes.
At the different, should we say, venues that are there for your viewing. Now you have a show going on currently, sponsored, And it's a show at City Hall that was to be at the Dome
Yes.
until they shut down the Dome because of the COVID.
Yeah, so many
And,
things that.
So we have a
had-
show called Skies. I
Yes, Missouri Skies.
believe. Well, now you, okay, Missouri Skies, and you have brought and shared with a painting.
This is one of mine that's in the show. Well, we have a number of venues where we show our work, but COVID shut down
Yes,
a lot of
I
things.
see.
So my idea was, since I organized this show at City Hall and I generally feature one or two artists, why not do a show for the whole club? And we'll do the one we were going to do at the Dome. And
Exactly.
I'll see if the mayor will judge it. And he did.
Uh-huh.
And so this is a fun show. And somebody said, Missouri skies, I mean, a sky is a sky. No, it's not.
It's not,
In
that's
Missouri, we have amazing skies.
We
And I
do.
came from the West Coast. We had the mountains and the water, but the skies were not.
Not the
A
same.
lot of gray, gloomy skies.
I was honored to be invited to show
Yes.
two pieces in that show. I have two pieces. One that's gaining a lot of popularity called Sunset Grasses. And then there's the second. So I just really was honored to be invited to show a piece there.
Yes, it's
So,
beautiful.
well,
addition.
that's great. So stop by the City Hall of Sedalia and see the skies,
Yes.
Missouri skies.
Let me say something about this
Yes,
one.
please.
This one, I heard once that someone asked a philosopher to give them like a phrase that would be something uplifting when things were bad or when things were especially
Yes.
good. And the phrase he gave was, "This too shall pass." So like when you're on the mountaintop, you're not going to stay there forever, you know, you're going to come back down.
Yes.
But if you're really way down in the ditch somewhere, it'll pass. So that's the idea here, that big storm clouds rising, but like COVID, like a election in
Exactly. There's a
just
storm approaching.
yes, but it will pass. It will pass, and that's my thought behind
That's
that
a
one.
lot of my paintings, my skies. I do a lot of sky landscapes, you know, and somewhat recognized for my skies. And the skies, most of my paintings do show that there's a storm brewing in life. And we all paint from the heart with a,
Yeah.
and trying to send a message. So you see a dark cloud that's got a little rain, as Linda says, that's too will pass.
Yes.
Well, we're just getting close to the break, so I want to ask you to relax. It's been very
Okay.
informational, somewhat educational. So we want to say thanks. Just relax a little bit.
Okay.
When we come back from break, we'll talk more of the technical and more information about how Linda chooses her subject matter. And she also is talented in another arena that we'll talk about called caricatures. And so we get in more depth with Linda after the break. So, you know, there's so much more here on Spotlight on the Arts. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Spotlight on the Arts, coming to you from the Lamey's building in Sedalia, Missouri. We're visiting, chatting with Linda Hoover, as artist and more, Linda Hoover from Sedalia, Missouri. Well, welcome back from the break, Linda.
Thank you.
And we want to now talk some technicalities, I guess you might say.
Can I just finish this up a little bit? That I meant to mention that the mayor did choose the first place winner, and he chose Shirley Horachak, and her painting is in the pictures that you're showing. So
yes,
it was a beautiful, beautiful painting. So I wanted to note that.
Yes,
okay.
Thank you for recognizing that. Okay. Well, now we want to introduce you to, not only is Linda a painter, an artist for landscapes, but she does portraits, murals, which she will show you that she's taken to a higher level, and also portraits. So we want to know, first of all, in these different arenas, what are your mediums that you like to work with?
Well, for my personal paintings, I'm working on a series, Human Beings and Human Doings, and that I kind of started when I checked back through my paintings and saw that through the years that has been a focus. I'm always interested in people and what they're doing. And for those, I usually use watercolors. I love the transparency and the glow and the light of watercolors.
Oh,
but then when I take commissions and do portraits, I want something I can control a little more. And so I use acrylics. I still have the transparency that I can work with, but I have a lot more room for error, for correction than with watercolor. It's just more control.
Now your watercolors, are those watered down? But because I know Larry Carver is a well-known artist now, Arkansas and Missouri, does watercolor, but he doesn't thin them down. He uses these without the water mixed in, and he gets this great blend of almost looks like oils.
Like dry brush?
Dry brush, yes, probably.
Andrew Wyeth did.
Andrew Wyeth, yes. Oh, my favorite. One of my most inspirational
he's
painters. I've
great
got
painter.
a book on him I started with 30 years ago. If I get him laying against a tree with his hands playing, it looks like he's playing dead, if you recall that.
I know
Andrew Wyeth.
Yeah, he was
that's
great.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
But mine is more about the transparency and washes, but I think I probably use dry brush too.
Okay.
I love detail. Now this is an acrylic, but you can kind of see I do love detail, a lot of detail.
Excellent.
This is one of those cases though where I was stretching, because normally I'm more focused on people.
Oh, I see.
And what they're doing.
Well, we're still talking buildings and stuff, and we'll show this clip of you up in the air. And if you haven't realized it, but now looking at this picture we're putting on the timeline, on a scaffolding, electric, what have you, lift, she is painting on the side of a building.
Yes.
Taking it to a higher
what
level.
What fun.
Now tell us about that. So you're the person painting a mural.
Yeah, you're talking about the one on the Fine Art Building at the fair. I did that painting 8 years ago, and I could see signs that it was starting to fade, and I wanted that to just stay really crisp and beautiful. So I talked to the fair director, Mark Wolf, and he ordered 2 kinds of lifts for me. And that big one, that was amazing. You actually run the whole lift from up in this little box, and you're running this gigantic machine around.
Yes.
I had a ball. It was kind of scary.
It's a good thing you're not afraid of heights.
Nope.
You look very
I was a little afraid of running into the building maybe with that or causing some damage, but I had a lot of fun.
Well, you look very comfortable up there on that lift.
Yes.
And the finished product is, I hear so much about, and that's one way I identify you to so many artists. That mural on the side of the Fine Arts Building there at the State Fair. Well, now let's step on into, while we're talking that type of, should we say medium, the paint. What do you like to paint? Your murals? I mean, sorry, your portraits.
I use acrylics for the portraits. I can you can use it thick or thin. You know,
Yes.
you've got all that various options on how to do it, and you can use it just like watercolor.
I
Put
see.
washes on,
Oh, I see.
which I love that transparency.
painted,
You can
with the-
thin it right down.
Yes, I painted with acrylics for years, and I found in acrylics that layering, washes and layering, layering
Yeah.
is what I finally got out of acrylics that I get out of oils. So that's
I'm
how I
working on-
control layering,
Yes.
maybe contrasting. They talk about layering in different values,
Yes.
which will bring it out your dimension, I found, form
yes.
of objects, what have you.
I'm working
All
on
right,
one.
let's step into the caricatures. You do
Okay.
caricatures.
Can I tell you a little bit about the
yes.
what I'm doing right now is a commission. And it was a young man. Of course, everybody looks young to me now. You look real young. But so I guess he might be in his 30s. But he talked about this big painting, and I wasn't totally sure that he was serious. And I gave him my price, and he just said, okay. And he met me at Hobby Lobby. Like, we just drove over there, and he bought a big canvas. And he paid me in cash ahead of time.
Oh,
but
my.
the theme is the throne room in heaven. So I looked it up in the book of Revelation and the book in Ezekiel, and it's in Daniel.
Yes,
and
the
there
throne.
is so much going on in there. It's like God on the throne, and then around there's thunder and lightning coming out of it, and noises, sounds, and then there's a rainbow encircling it all, and there is a crystal sea in front of it, and there's angels and creatures, amazing creatures. They're talk about them
Yes,
having
the
6
three-horned,
wings
or
and
five-horned.
yeah,
Yes,
one has a head of a
Daniel.
lion, and one is
Yes.
a eagle, and one is a man, and one is a
Claws of the eagle.
yeah,
Very well
it's like a
placed.
bull,
bull.
and they're all over eyes within and without, and then there's 24 elders around this. So, and everything's moving and in action and songs and prayers and.
Yes.
But I am definitely needing all that ability to layer and layer. And
Yes,
I started out with Ezekiel talks about that the figure on the throne had the appearance of the likeness of a man. So I did put a man on there, but I mean, you're actually trying to paint God. So I did it. I used a lot
Or
over the
symbol
top
of-
too.
Symbol of
Yeah, so
representation.
the rainbow goes over the top of that, and the lights and the everything, so that he's more faded out in the background. But
I see.
that-
Excellent. I see you're just
So
really
exciting.
excited about that. Your caricatures, how did this develop, and what do you use as a medium? What felt
Okay.
pens? Tell
I
us a little bit
started
about that.
about 35 years ago
Oh.
because I lived down in Camp, and they have a graduation party for their seniors every year, and a lock-in where they keep all the graduates safe. I love the idea, and the mothers called me and asked me to do that, and I said, Barb Kanabi was the mother that asked me, and I've done 3 of her children graduating, but I said, I don't really do that, Barb. And she said, well, I think you can. So, I started there. And I did it in black and white and charcoals.
In charcoals,
It was
huh?
fast, and I could erase and have some degree of flexibility with it. But I have just recently, like this last year, thought I really want to do this in color. It's just more fun with a lot of color in it. And so I worked out a way. I'd had trouble with that through the years because of smearing. If you start out drawing with a black charcoal and then try to put color on top of that with
I see.
pastels,
Right.
it's very difficult. So I'm drawing with a big Sharpie, and then that's on there and you can't smear it. And I'm coloring on top of that and having a great time, and people are enjoying it.
Yes.
I do these I've kind of branched out, not just graduation parties. And I used to set up a booth and do them for fairs and things like that, But now I'm doing them for parties, like birthday parties, graduation parties, wedding parties, like the bridal dinner ahead of
Yes, yes,
time.
okay.
And there was some people had me come and do a party they have every year just to kick off the fair.
Oh, excellent.
In their home, and they have a
speaking
tradition.
Speaking of the fair, you're in arms, you might say, with Mr. Jim Dyke. who every year at the fair
Yes,
does
he's wonderful.
portraits. So you might look up Jim, and then you look up Linda at the Fine Arts Building, and commission a work
Sure.
with Linda. Well, we have to move along.
Okay.
We're getting close on time, but we have some paintings now we want to talk about
Okay.
that you've shared with us on the timeline here. The first painting, I believe, is by a collage that you mentioned with my notes.
Okay.
Would you talk about the painting with Shirley?
That's Shirley Horacek's, and
Horacek's,
that's the one that the mayor picked for the first place in our Missouri Skies show, which is now showing at City Hall. And the club gave Shirley $100. We're very proud of her. It's a beautiful, beautiful
Yes,
collage.
it is. I've been able to view it with you sending the paintings ahead of time. Springtime, anytime. You have this anytime theme. So springtime, anytime.
Is a mural that's at Liberty Park over here. That's my most recent mural, which I did in March with Glenda. Glenda has worked
Hoover.
Glenda Miller has worked on 2 murals with me, and I pay her to help me.
Oh, excellent.
And I just tell her what parts I want her to do. But I knew this one, it was going to be a lot of blossoms. The idea is springtime, anytime, and they're all the Missouri things. Our tree is the dogwood. And our official flower is the hawthorn blossom, which is actually a tree, but it's the blossom. Our turtle, the box turtle, is our amphibian.
I see.
Or our reptile. I think that's our reptile, and then the bullfrog is our amphibian, and the bluebird is our bird, and they're all in this mural.
And this is behind the tennis court.
Yes.
Okay.
Now behind the brand new
we're looking. You're showing
center.
3 different poses. The mural finished, and then the one is springtime all the time.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful shot as you see
the idea is
here on the timeline. Now, American Graffiti.
Yes.
You've shared shots as we're seeing now on the timeline. American Graffiti. Initially, and then you're freshening up on the left as we talked about.
Yes. That was a fun project, and now it's all like brand new.
Oh, excellent. And your display at Hobby Lobby.
Yes, that was another project this last year that I taught a class on portraiture. Had fun. So I did portrait of myself in the display, and it was a good thing, good project.
Now we've also we presented your caricatures during that your explanation of caricatures, but one of your favorites is a caricature of Rick and Martha.
Yeah, that was fun, and I put it in there to show the colors. I did them at my church, Antioch Fellowship here in town, for Christmas. Was it this year? Yeah, last year for Christmas. After that, we started everything locking down, but had a great time.
And your favorite kisses that we're looking at.
Oh yeah,
now.
that's my own idea, and that goes to the human beings and human doings. So people kiss, and they eat, and they knit, and they just think they dance, the things that people do.
And you mentioned food as a project, and dining. So here we have salad with Emmett. What's this all about?
Well, Emmett's one of my little grandsons, and we were being funny because I was trying to be very photorealistic in that. So he put his little hand in there like he was taking a strawberry out.
That's what that
thought it
hand
was
is
so
all.
funny.
Excellent.
He had fun too.
Salad with Emmett.
But that's still human beings and human doings, the theme, because people like to eat. Just the simple things that people do are what thrills me.
and this next one we're looking at is called Juicy Fruit, Hoover Juicy Fruit. And when I looked at it, it actually makes my mouth water.
Oh, good.
So you did an excellent job on that.
Thank you.
Juicy Fruit. What inspiration did that come from?
Actually, it was from a salad that somebody brought to a dinner, and I just thought, that is gorgeous, and I did photograph it.
Excellent.
Couldn't make people not eat the salad long enough for me to paint it, but.
And finally, we see the sleepy cat.
Well, that's just an example. I do my commissions. I do a lot of pets. I do a lot of pets, and but I haven't done a good job yet. And this is where I need to grow in photographing those things, because they get when somebody hires you to do it, you deliver it to them when you're done.
Sure.
And I often forget, but I've done a lot of them. This year one that I finished not too long ago was 3 portraits of the same woman. The husband commissioned it for a Christmas presents for his 3 grown children. Each one's going to get one. And so we put a different background, a floral background to each one. One has daylilies, one has roses, and one has chrysanthemums. So each one's getting their own picture of their mother.
Oh, excellent,
but
excellent.
It's the same woman over and over.
Well, you do commissions, so how do we get in touch with you?
You can.
Our viewers, worldwide for that matter,
Yes,
they
yes,
may want
that'd
a
be
commission.
wonderful.
You know, I've been invited to Tuscany, Italy.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Because of the program. And so, how does one approach you now for commissions? Look at the camera.
Okay,
and
you could call me 660-238-6242, or you could email me at Hoovers with an S at Iland. That's ILAND.net. You can find me on Facebook, Linda Hoover, and message me through Facebook, or you could go to my website and there's contact information there, which is lindahooverart.com.
Oh, excellent.
Lots of ways to reach me.
Well,
I check them all and I get right back to people.
Good girl, as you say. We're just about out of time. So, do you have any closing words for viewers worldwide?
Oh, worldwide.
You have a word to inspire them to pick up the brush
and
or
paint.
To get past this COVID. Your closing
well, maybe
words.
the message from my painting that this too will pass. But for those of you that are artists, this is a great time. I had somebody tell me lately I'm too cavalier about COVID. It's kind of stuck in me. But I've had it and got over it, and it was not bad. So praise God, mine was a very mild case, and I'm done with it. But for all of us, it's passing. But let's just use this time. If you're at home, if you're being quarantined, it's a great time to be making art.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks again, Linda.
That was fun.
Being my guest. We look forward to the next time and catching up to date on the artist and more, Linda Hoover. I want to thank the viewers once again for watching Spotlight on the Arts. And my special thanks to the Lamies Building for providing this venue facility for the taping. And cameraman today, Yves Andre Excelis. And viewers, again, thank you. We'll see you next time on Spotlight on the Arts.